Hey, what is up, everybody? It's the Cloud9 podcast, season 1, episode 10. The LCS 2021 summer split begins this week, actually. It just feels like we started the LCS 2021 lock-in tournament, just in January, and now we're already at June, now we're already in summer. So after the summer split concludes, we have Worlds. And then after that, we're pretty much going to see who's going to be the world champion. That's going to be really fun to predict who's going to win Worlds. I got really close, with my pick'ems, when it comes to like every single year. What really only screwed up my pick'ems last year was assuming that JDG was going to beat Sunny because JDG had clapped Sunny all year. And then fucking, Sunny went on their, miracle run. Well, not miracle run. They just dominated.
They did really freaking well, really.
That's kind of how it happened there. Actually I can't hear right now, but probably fix it in just a moment. So yeah,
there we go.
Everything's been going pretty good so far. Today we had the LEC show that went really well. And also we have to talk about the LCS. The LCS has gone through quite some changes these past couple of months. Actually, they confirmed today that they're going to be playing, in studio. So that's going to be, or at least the casters will be in studio, right? Or they said the players will be too.
Good.
So,
yeah, that's progress.
Nice to obviously, have that because, playing at home and then playing on stage is just two totally different things, like I that's why I personally think you really got to see that with the LEC when you had SK Gaming, Fnatic, G2, Rogue, Mad Lions, all make playoffs, and then you saw like all of their mistakes, on stage, as they were like messing up in a lot of like easy basic shit. Like we saw Fnatic dive Abadage and then just give over 3 kills. Like you don't want to be playing on stage like that. But I think playing on stage will definitely, hopefully have an impact on the teams now that they've been obviously, been at home remote play for about what? Close to a year and a half. Yeah, roughly about a year, roughly.
It's been a year or more because February. Yeah,
I hear you, actually.
Yeah. I unmuted. I think I unmuted. Yeah. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, it was like end of late February that like lockdowns at least.
Yeah, I still can't hear you.
Son of a bitch! What the hell?
He'll probably be in just a minute. Well, I guess I'm just here by myself for just a moment. So, yeah, so far, most of the teams have just been playing, at their relatively, comfort, which is obviously, online. But now, they've just been, playing
test.
That's going to be a whole lot different too. So
test any better?
Let's see. Give me 1 sec, actually. Oh, that's why. I know what's going on.
No, the stream hear me, but you couldn't, or what?
Yeah, it was mine. That was my bad. Sorry about that. So
okay.
Yeah, dude. So what do you think, man? Do you think that playing at home make the teams worse? Actually,
no. I'm kind of in line with what a lot of the main figureheads have been talking about. Playing at home has been good for a lot of the rookies because they don't have to deal with the extra pressures as well as like being a rookie in the pro scene. And it's not really going to do too many negative things for the veterans, except. Yeah, really not too much. So I think this is where we're going to start seeing a lot of proof in the pudding. Like, can they perform on stage? I mean, that's in an LEC perspective. I think we're really happy with how Mad Lions have been doing since we left the online era. Because the first time they left the online era was going into Worlds, and they flopped in play-ins. But now they've come back and we're top 4 at MSI. So I think this will be a really good thing to kind of separate the the adequate boys from the toddlers, if you will, especially with just the rookie and the younger talent. So yeah, I'm kind of excited. I'm glad to see that they're getting back to normal with it. And I kind of actually want to I need to run down and actually look at all the rosters.
I think most of the rosters are the same except for Golden Guardians and Cloud9 had their one change.
Cloud9's got King coming in.
Yeah,
that's the same. TSM's not changing anything. Cloud9 are gonna have Centaurn back. EG, I don't think I've seen or heard anything. GG has Solo in the top lane now. With, I think they're just keeping a Blaze Olive mid, and it was just a newbie and Solo changing, I believe, right?
Yeah, you pretty much just have the same team except for top and support.
Yeah,
EG kicked out Deathly. and they're gonna play with the new AD carry. Is that gonna really change their team? We'll see. Like a lot of these, like they got a guy from I think it was like the academy scene or amateur.
Mm-hmm.
So like when you're factoring in like these LCS teams, I don't really know what their goals are generally. Like some teams are in this like weird mindset of like, okay, we want to obviously just build right now, but then when they get bad results, they start making a bunch of roster changes. So like you weren't really building though. You were just pretty much, I don't know, just saying that, because that's what it feels like. It just honestly feels like sometimes they just say that though, because there's no point in changing your roster if you're just building for the year or you're building some academy prospects, you know. Just always feels kind of lopsided and some of those things.
I think that's where they were looking to do like a minor upgrade at best, because the peak for definitely has kind of been seen at this point. Like there's no higher than what he's been. So at this point, it's kind of like run it, like just go grab some like promising young talent. Because I think also because EG have Peter Dunn, they have Kelsey Moser, who was one of the and both of them are actually great forces inside the academy world right now. So I wouldn't be surprised if they, you know, had their heads together and went, "This is top tier talent. This is top tier talent, right? Top tier young talent right here in the form of Danny, who's coming in." So I'm actually really, I think this is actually a rookie to keep an eye on, just because he's having to show up mid-season, but he's surrounded by 4 players who know how to play together. And EG, at least at the start of spring, was quite promising, quite strong. But ended up kind of feeling like a one-trick pony by the end of it, just from so it's like, oh, Jizuki's going to go in hard, great, and now it's a control mage.
The playstyle was just terrible. Like Jizuke either griefs games or Sven would do like the same pathing. He would go from like red to scuttle to raptors, then gank top. Like he's always finding ways to gank for top. And I told people this, like when we're doing like videos for the spring split that just passed, like EG's playstyle, they're gonna need to actually find another player to play through. Like their playstyle was just super predictable. All Sven did was just gank for top, and then their bot lane was pretty much left on an island. Definitely was just like some games he basically was hit or miss.
Definitely was nice furniture. He just
don't you like nice furniture?
Yeah, you know, wasn't some super duper Bluetooth extra speakers couch like fucking double lift or whatnot. It was just a couch that didn't break. Like, you know.
What did you think about Ignar actually from last split?
Ignar's still like the expectation, or at least with how Ignar is that he's always just been that Rakan one trick, just aggro, and he's like, if anyone ever wanted to try to compare him to Hylissang, it's like no, like Hylissang gets engages that like wins games repeatedly for the team that he's on. Ignar just is an engaged bot. There's not as much. I guess I would not expect to I've yet to see or hear any discussion that puts Ignar in the realms of a creative best on or a creative engaged support type of character like Hylissang is over in EU. You know, they were, I think by the end of it, they were Dignitas light, because Dignitas was 3 rookies, 2 vets, and they were all on the same page. Like that was the best thing about Dignitas, is that they were 5 idiots heading for the same brick wall. Thus the brick wall would break, as opposed to like our standard solo queue where you have 5 idiots going in 5 different directions, and thus it's a throw and it's always the jungler's fault. So that was sort of my takeaway for Ignar. Like I don't exactly sit there and have any games that are go like, yeah, Ignar like won that, you know. or Ignar stood out on something that wasn't Rakan, you know.
Not like how he was on FlyQuest the previous year with Power of Evil. Like it just felt like they were just one and the same, you know. Like it felt like Ignar played for Power of Evil and Power of Evil did the same. Yeah, but I always tell people this: Ignar's most successful like year ever did come from playing with Power of Evil on Misfits back in like 2017. Like he's always been an okay, good engaged player, but it's like that always like his peaks have always come from Power of Evil. Like he's made Worlds of Power of Evil twice. He's did well with Power of Evil twice. When he's not with Power of Evil, it just doesn't do well. You know,
Power of Evil is a stabilizing force to his engaging. because Power of Evil is just like he's just this generation's Froggen. Well, it's just very controlled, getting your stuff, knowing your power specs, and knowing how to like in a way play it out perfectly and win. That's where like his control mage game is like one of the top in the league, and historically has been one of, you could contend it's top 10 in the West.
Yeah,
like
because unlike Froggen, Power of Evil, I think he took that playstyle and he just made it to his liking, but made it better too. Like Froggen, to me, because I've been watching Froggen dude since 2014, he always just felt the same, honestly. Like he never actually made his playstyle better. Like you can be good at just one playstyle, just make that playstyle better though. There's nothing wrong with that. Because like, people always kind of rag on Doinby for doing some crazy off the wall shit, but if that's what it's getting him the wins, like I'm gonna go for that,
Like it got Doinby a world championship. The thing is that also you could end up actually going into a conversation or a further investigation of like, were the teams properly built around Froggen? Because I remember listening to one interview like today where like way back the way that at least CLGEU was sort of built, I believe, was that with Wicked top lane and such, is that the ADC was kind of really aggro and would go in first and do all that initial upfront damage, or like be a part of the engage, while Froggen was the cleanup, like the final carry to come through and like win the fight and play it out perfectly or whatnot. And I don't really believe that any team, especially in NA, ever properly built the right team around him to provide him with the any amount of success that I think we would have really, and I think fans of Froggen would have anticipated while playing in a dog region. So
you didn't like that Golden Guardians roster that they built back in like 2019 with Contracts and Hanser and Ole and what was the other guy? Definitely, yeah, it was definitely actually. Yeah.
I just don't think it's like a variability of firepower there in a way. Like, so Hanser can't play weak side. Contracts has only been ever spoken positively about being able to track really well the enemy jungler. Like he's got a great mind for that. But Contracts only ever really peaked on carry junglers. Well, he peaked on Cloud9 a bit, but just not. I just never thought he could actually like he could cross over. He could cross over and be really flirting with being LCS caliber, but he just could not pull it out like hard enough or well enough, or got a bad rap. Didn't have teams that knew how to play for the jungle properly. And you had definitely bot lane, and definitely is just furniture, as we've discussed. And who was the support?
Ole. His brain.
Ole.
Well, Ole had already been bad on TL the previous
that was Ole after Liquid though, wasn't it?
Yeah, so he already been bad anyway.
Yeah, that's a busted Ole right there, homie. Like that's like I'm not saying Buddhism ruins your life. I'm just saying like he had his smoking it. He was addicted to cigarettes before then or whatnot, I think, or somewhere around then. He was quitting. He was dealing with quitting cigarettes, which is a huge undertaking in of itself because you are chemically addicted to them. There's people I've known who are as old as me. I've known for what feels like ever, and they're just like, I'm back at trying to quit. I'm like, good luck. Like I don't know the struggle, but when you bring about the reality that it is a chemical addiction, that like you need to find some like recently FDA approved like crazy stuff to try to like pull it out. Like good luck. So he's trying to go through that while having like a AFK 80 carry, a control mage, typically perfect CSing, Froggen. Your jungler, I feel like I remember watching that, and like the jungler like could track, but he could not really like pull out the early ganks well enough. Like their gank game just was not strong. And so it's like, what do you play through if you're waiting for Froggen to come online? Like, like my first gut would be like Hanser. Yeah, because Hanser always did want to be more of a carry top lane.
But they always put him on like Scion, and like people always say, well, if you're on Scion, you can't carry. I beg to differ. I've seen some Chinese top laners, LCK top laners.
Your carry moments on Scion are in the team fight.
Yeah, it's all about
zone properly. You get on faces, you ult into faces. Like you can do your job very, very well as a Scion in a team fight situation. I just don't like that. I just don't feel good about that cast of characters in a theory craft, because if definitely gets the lead, he's not going to win it, or he's not going to carry it long enough to get Froggen online. Ole, I don't exactly remember as. I think Ole was more Enchanter. I would think more, or maybe
it's only really good. He had that one good split, and then after that, when he went to Worlds of that year, he just completely faded away. That's why I told you, man. Like people in League just peak at the right time. So how do you take that peaking at the right time and apply that to analysis? Well, I go if he does it then this split, then that's pretty much who he is. Then. Like you always have those like random one-hit wonders for splits. It happens like every single year I've been watching League, man. Every single year, every single region always has that. You always have that one player who's just really not that good come out and have the split of his life, and then now he's pretty much irrelevant. No one even remembers who he is. Like remember when Smoothie was like one of the best supports in the league? He was just making engage after he was just an animal, and then now, well, Smoothie's just kind of knows as a bad support now.
Yeah, he is. I feel like him and Afro have very similar like patterns. It's just what I know from at least someone that coached them was that like he had issues with motivation, this maintaining motivation. So Afro's been kind of like given a lot of rope over the years to just keep coming back and being a great veteran presence on a roster. Mm-hmm. It's just that like. It's more apparent to me just in the personality as I see it out of Smoothie that he's always trying to improve or trying to be better, but it just ends up getting super rough.
Yeah.
And he just can't pull it out. Or if it's not an engage, meta, if it's an Enchanter meta, then it's like super hard for a support to shine unless like the narratives are built properly and it's properly identified by the casting for the main audience to be like, hey, this is actually super potent right here, what they're doing, or like, hey, this exhaust, like really trying to add gravitas to things that aren't as, flashy as a Thresh Hook or like an Alistar, headbutt pulverize. So yeah.
That's my thing with Afromo is that he made a recent comeback this past, LCS. He played really well. I think a lot of people didn't understand how, because like people ask me, why did I put Dardoch as my MVP over like Blabber and Alfari? Because those are my three candidates that I narrowed down. Well, because people have to factor in this. When you're on a worse team, you have to do more to win. It's not like Blabber and he's got Purge, Fudge, Zven, Vulcan. Blabber, yes, is playing really well. No one's denying that.
Well, for like a European example that comes to mind is Humanoid. Humanoid could be contended as like one of the top mids in the region now. But the thing is that like a year ago, like you could not have said that because he was the most veteran presence, and so he was doing a lot of that.
Remember those Rise games? so bad.
Yeah, but he was doing a lot of the work to help like run the team or make the team, learn and cover those, gaps in knowledge that Karzi, Kaiser, like that roster of rookies just didn't have. And then once those major concepts become like second nature knowledge to the rest of his team is the moment he's actually starting to pop off and show himself to be a mechanically talented but capable of carrying mid laner, like a top tier mid laner in the EU. So I think the same sort of comes back on over here to your, like I could understand the argument of like Dardoch was a standout jungler in the carry meta. He performed very well, while also being, it's just him and Aframu directing these, young little ducklings to, a top rating in the regular season. Like,
he also was literally going like head to head with Blabber, like, to go head to head with a player that's won MVP twice, been to Worlds, obviously, that's good in of itself. Like you can see, he's not mechanically bad. His brain just crumbles. Like, how do you deal with that, dude? You have such a mechanically great prospect in the league, which is still Dardoch, which is still great, right? But his brain just functions horrible. He's winning.
I'd say his social settings or his personal social settings. I don't even know if Dardoch's even like that gifted anymore in a mechanical sense. Like the thing that got me about that Dignitas roster is that it was Aframu running like the puppet master would have been my assumption, and Dardoch's allowed to do whatever he wants. So the team's built around Dardoch, you can almost say, especially with the carry meta jungler, the carry meta jungle that we had. But it's just one of those where like Dardoch would have to like prove himself all over again as like a top NA jungler.
Yeah.
And I don't know how that's going to come about because it's one
of those things where like, Dignitas as a team happens in like all the regions. Like it's a team you don't expect to do well. They do well for spring because not a lot of the teams are gelled together. Then when the other teams have gotten better, that are initially better than them, they just don't do well. That happened to FlyQuest a lot. Like when FlyQuest used to just do randomly well in spring, but then tank in summer. I was like, some people they just weren't that good to begin with. The better team.
We had that better. We had that on account of like EG, and EG got there, or CLG as an inverse to the argument.
Yeah,
CLG at the end of summer started looking good. They started looking like quite capable and it's what you would expect once the team like got together and got stuff together, just based on the pedigree that's there. EG on the other hand, all are just on the same wavelength like early on, so they look like a top 3 team, early on this season, but then they fell off like. I'd have. What was the fucking?
Didn't they finish 9-9 at the end of the regular split?
Yeah, like nothing that remarkable by the end of it.
Yeah, they are knocked by TSM like 3-1, and that's my thing, dude. Also, like people keep saying they play them and 100 Thieves played really close games. You can play close games, but the issue here is like when you see other teams play close games, they also win these close games too. Like they weren't even good enough to play against TSM, who also had issues themselves with drafting. Like. Nobody forgot that 100 Thieves vs TSM series. They were drafting abysmally. Like that was disrespect. They're like, there's no way they were gonna lose that series. No. They're just gonna draft as inhumanly bad as possible. Like fucking blind picking Lily on Kaisa in first rotation. Like, what are you doing? It's just straight up griefing, but it doesn't matter because you play against 100 Thieves, right? So, So what did you think about so as you guys know, C9 benched Zven for King, who was in their academy roster. So what do you think? Was it mental? Was it fucking mentally tilting the team? Do you think it was actual skill? Because when I saw his games at MSI, dude, I'm being honest here, man. I didn't think he played that bad as people made out to me. He played initially fine, but he did get worse, but it wasn't like what Blabber was doing, straight up griefing games. Like it wasn't like that bad. So I couldn't imagine its gameplay. I just couldn't imagine that at all.
It's really hard to know, especially since no one really knows. I don't even know if there's any interviews out for it yet or any commentary outside of everyone speculating. But like, I don't know. I think it kind of ends up being like. Did Gala actually just basically show everyone what an ADC could do, and now they're like, okay, we need to start like getting ADCs in that are going to be monsters, like aggro monsters to like poorly categorize it, and then they get a bunch of like griefers in there. I don't know. It's one of those where it's not clear that Zven, at least on the game, watching the game, was ever a problem. Could he have done more? Perhaps. Could he have played better? Perhaps. So it's very curious if now the Cloud9 org is doing what it did before, where it's like, okay, fighting for your spot. Let's go. Like King versus Zven. Who wants it more? Who's going to earn it? Along whatever metric set that they decide. So I don't know. I think it also ends up being something that feels like
because it's so hard to really kind of see what they're doing. It's like, are they trying to put in King right now to basically show us how good he is, so they just sell him off, or are they even planning on redirects, man? Yeah,
I feel like it's a low probability possibility. I think part of me ends up coming down to like sort of the vibe or the feeling that I get out of it, and I feel like Vulcan's really pushing in the team to get better. I think Perks is that by nature. I think Blabber is doing that, although finally getting those international jitters out of the way, and Fudge is a monster at this point. So it's not clear to me that Sven's personality or current state and how he's playing, or maybe how much he's putting into it, is equating to how much work and effort is being put in by King, who's been waiting around for to get on into a major roster, get onto a real team for 2+ years now or something like that, I bet. So it's really sus.
What's up, Hamas? What's up, man? I'm at work, stuck. I'm at work. My tire went flat. Oh, that sucks, dude. I'm sorry about that. What's up, Dylan Rosler? Died to Krugs. That's all you gotta remember. Thanks, man. Dylan Rosler. I think King will be better for the team. He's more aggressive in team fights, which they really lacked. Yeah, that's true. I agree with that somewhat. Like there was certain games where like he was just randomly not putting out enough damage. Like you saw him basically have like full health with his abilities up, and he's just playing really scared. Like, was he afraid of just inting? Because normally Zven's never really been like that. Like he's normally been what he was last year, just a complete monster. Outside of that TSM year, where he doesn't really talk about anymore. Normally he's always been really good. Like just unheard of things for him,
Yeah, I don't know. That's where I'm really going off of just like some ether, intuitive vibe here. It's like I feel like he was just like a non-factor of the team, and like I debate how much of his motivation is really there. Like it's one of those where it's like Dardoch historically has been a very obvious, loud problem for a team. And so it's one of those where do you come away from MSI saying that Blabber's the problem? Or is it more realistic when you're actually on the team and greater context? Do you look at Zven and go, we could upgrade you actually with this rookie, this other talent? This team's been around for a while. Will that actually be a better play out? If Dylan's got this right, that King's a more aggressive ADC, I just feel like it's also playing further into the Gala, like altering the minds of all of the international scene on what's a good ADC and how to play the game. Because
I think King is great. I've looked at his games in C9 Academy. I think he's great. But then people need to understand this too, dude. It's not like playing an academy. This is completely different. So like there's pressure on him to outperform Zven or be on the same level. Because Zven, even at his worst, is like a top 3 ADC in the league, though. So if he's not like in a top 3 category, then they didn't really get anything out of this, and they just basically wasted a lot of time, by not playing him. But everything's a gamble anyway. That's how league works anyways, man. I hope they know what they're doing. This usually bodes pretty well for them. But, fans are always going to say that, well, they did it one time, so I mean it's automatically happen right now. There's no guarantee of that. Just because it did happen once didn't mean it's going to happen for this specific scenario. Like, people always say, well, Cloud9's always going to make Worlds. Well, they didn't make Worlds last year. So, those always kind of narratives are always super sus anyway, even with historical things to back it up. Yeah. Danny Tran, King is really going to surprise people, by the way. I think he can, but the issue here is like, if he's not top 3 material, it's just a waste of time. What do you do? Bring back Zven and go, yeah, we were wrong about you. It's like, well...
He needs to surprise us better than what Johnson did on Dignitas in the last year and a half, because Johnson showed up and there was Dominate helped highlight him, but Johnson, watching him, you felt like he was one trying to find that edge, find that limit to really help push his team when he was on Dig, and I think he lost some of that. Feels like he lost some of his social status. Inside the team. So when he went to where he's at now, I think on FlyQuest, not really there as much. So King pulling out and being a very clear, I'm going to carry this harder than Blabber, and him and Blabber, posturing to hyper carry the game. That could be really impressive and fun.
See, from my point of view, when it always happens that a player gets benched, because I can only see what happens obviously on the stage games, I just generally think well, you're benching Zven, but Blabber was actually just running it down half the tournament. And then people said, well, he didn't really adjust well to the meta. And excuses. Aloye, Wei, Canyon all played and adjusted just fine. I'm not saying just because they did it, he can. But when you're saying it's only just because of the jungle changes, all junglers going there went through the same changes. It wasn't like he was just some special snowflake.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I think by the end of it, Cloud9 didn't have a proper read of Rumble, because it would appear even in the finals, I think we only saw one Rumble game in the finals. So it's just not. So I think Cloud9 ended up having a good read about it, but I just don't think they knew what the fuck to do. The whole team didn't know what to do with the kind of junglers that were kind of in the pool between, frankly, Morgana and Udyr. They should. I think that's why they always got the Udyr, just so it would put the whole team on we know what this game plan should look like.
What about this? Remember in the LCK when the ADCs back in 2018 summer for the regions were all nerfed because of just how ADCs were changed and how the mages came at the bot lane? But I remember this. Ruler didn't even really play the mages. He just played ADCs, though. What if they chose not to conform to the meta of playing Morgana and Rumble, and they just chose to play solely carry junglers for Blabber? Do you think that would have worked out better for him?
Well, that was the point of the Udyr pick. Like
Yeah,
the thing,
but he
that you,
could,
the thing that you give to the Udyr pick more than the Morgana, just in how I feel about both either champion, is that one has greater agency than the other.
Mhm.
I think the Morgana binding can be fantastic and is like one of the longest roots in the whole game, and what you can do with like a flash, ult, Zanya's like on a team fight is monstrous. But Udyr provides so much agency to just go and pick your target and just slap them, like literally. So that's where I think the team and Blabber were far more comfortable with the Udyr pick because of its consistency and its ability to, stay at the top of the clear speed. It's just that, I mean, Kafka pointed this out, the rigidity of Blabber's plans ends up being his downfall and not being able to adapt or adjust pathing to really, keep the team aiming for the win.
What's up, Trackhawk? How you doing, man? Fight for your spot. Almost 100%. Zven is better, but King is super motivated right now. Gotta capitalize. Best case, Zven turns into a better version of King. Worst, you have a young blood aggro ADC. Yeah, that's something there, actually.
It's always easier to pull back. It's always easier to pull back aggression than to add it. So
Blabber made dumb choices, but always went for the win. Zven gave up some games by being passive as heck. So yeah, bring in King. LCS is trash, so give him a chance to prove it in the garbage can of North America. See, that is true. Danny says, I think second best team by the end of summer will be 100 Thieves over Team Liquid. That's not the worst take I've heard, actually. I think if Abadage can work out for them, I think they can be better than TSM. But then again, TSM just had this thing, even though I truly think TSM had the worst players, of like all the top 3 teams, right? Because they really only have like Speak Up, Power Vivo, and Sword Art, though. And if you only think they only have 2 good players between those 3, I mean, two good players aren't going to win you the league. That's just not how the league works anymore. You're going to need something else there. Like Huni was okay. He was an all right top laner. Speaker was an all right jungler. To me, Lost was a well below average ADC. I just don't see this roster like getting anything higher than 3rd, like, or anything lower than 5th. Like, they're in that 3rd, 4th category. I just don't think with the caliber of players they purchase, it's actually possible. Dylan, I Will Dominate made a good point about Blabber that he needs a lot of games on a champion to be good. He doesn't pick up new champions quickly. That's also a thing too. That happens with Gilead said the same thing to Laurel in an interview too. He was like, I don't really pick up new champions very well. But to be fair, in the jungle, when you're looking at Rumble and Morgana, like, those are probably different play style of junglers than what he's normally used to. But he played Liliana a game. He played Udyr. It wasn't like, I don't know, man. It's just one of these things where context of these teams is never going to be clear, because you're going to get one person's perspective that's from that specific game of that specific day. Then you have like, well, this is the whole entire thing. It's like, what do you think, man?
So I was trying to make sure I at least qualified what I Will Dominate said. I don't think Dominate knows that about Blabber, because I think Danny's referring to or Dylan's referring to the recent Face Check episode. I think that you could draw, like, Dom could draw that conclusion, and that ends up being like a critical issue. And that ends up being like a lateral version of the same problem out of that Kafka identified, where Blabber is not good at adjusting on the fly with his current plans to still be aiming for the win and making the adjustments. Like Alioya was the highlight that at least Kafka put out. So then you end up having where Blabber's got his set of champions that he's good at, and adding one to it is going to cost you your time at a international tournament. So
that's the thing too, is like, if he doesn't pick up new champions, well, don't they have like 2 different patches you play on between? You have one patch for the regular split, you have a playoff change for that patch, then you also have Worlds on a new patch. So if he's not flexible in terms of what he can do as a jungler, how are they going to survive at Worlds? Like, you factor in, if he doesn't perform well at Worlds this year, I think they just get a new jungler. I think just cut your losses at this point. It's like, you can win domestically. Yeah, like you win domestically, or you value doing well internationally,
That's quite possible. The other thing to sort of highlight or just show a greater exacerbation of Blabber's issue is that the thing that I love about Worlds is that it is the longest time the pro scene ever has on a single patch.
That's true. Yeah.
It reminds me of all the StarCraft stories that I hear from people that followed that scene back in the day, is that the game was unchanged for so long that people ended up finding ways of breaking what had been long-standing metas or long-standing ways of playing the game. And so what you end up happening, and we have a great recounting of this from the SKT Glory days, where you end up having that crazy pick for Misfortune support with the Ashe to kill the Zyra support. And so it's like, I think we have yet to see like competent Blabber on a world stage with a meta that starts out one way and then ends up in an entirely different form by the end of the tournament. Like you have to be able to figure out and adjust even on that on that level, because like we see like a smaller version of that with MSI, we're like, yeah, Diana, Rumble, Morgana, like these are your major power picks. Diana never showed up at all.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah,
Morgana actually ended up becoming a greater mainstay, even though Rumble was
permaban for the first few games, right?
Was permaban, looked scary as hell, and then disappeared in the playoffs, more or less, compared to what he had been before. And so that's that's a small version of like watching the meta of a tournament adjust over a long stretch of time spent on a single patch. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they replaced Blabber, but the amount of rope and amount of slack that he's afforded needs to be shortening, because you can't be the hope of NA as one of the best native talents we've probably ever produced.
Yeah.
And then go on the international stage and kind of your whole team like shit the bed and not even make it out when you should have.
It'd be like Clear Love. Like me and my friend were talking about this. That's the same Clear Love story. He would always dominate domestically and then suck internationally. Like Peanut also too. Peanut, Clear Love, Blabber, they have the same things. And at the end of the day, when those teams cut those players that would always choke for them, they end up getting better results. Well, EDG almost made MSI 2021. Danny, there are rumors that Closer has been reverting back to his more aggressive play style of play, and it was backed up by Reaper's interview with Zven Global. Like, I do think with the addition of Abadagi and Reaper, 100 Thieves will be a better team, but the issue here is like, that takes time. Like, I personally wouldn't know that, honestly, but Abadagi to me is a better mid laner than Power of Evil, and I think Closer at his peak is better than Spica. Like, I just generally think they have the better players, but we said that last split and it didn't really come together. But who knows? With time to gel, like you said, it could be more beneficial for them, actually. Yeah. NFBI was the best performing ADC last year. Abadagi was top 3 LEC, and if someday can go back to his peak form, then 100 Thieves will be the best team. Although this is mostly wishful thinking. That's also true. Yeah. StarCraft 2. It must be a new person. Sabah Uvigas? C9 fans will go full copium and bring up that one random BO1 where Blabber did well and Gankos ran it with Kiana. Yeah, I used to talk to people last year where they were like, well, he out-jungled Gankos. That was one game. They lost it anyway. Why do teams do that, though? It's the same thing you said with Ignar. Ignar is remembered for a best-of-5 he lost. A best-of-5
with that Leona.
Not one. Yeah.
That Leona. That was... I feel like I was watching that like...
I watched that live. That was a work of art, dude.
I cannot recall if I watched that live or not, but I know I was probably sitting there holding my phone like in my bed, just like screaming, and my roommates are like, "Are you angry at the game again? Oh, you're what? Oh, wait." My roommates got used to me raging at the game.
And remember, they could have won that game. They could have won that series in game 4.
They ran out of tricks. By game 3, they ran out of tricks.
Yeah.
They ran out of tricks, and...
What was it, game 4? It was game 4.
They had a blitzcrank. They had a blitzcrank. There was a blitzcrank like game 4 or game 5, and they just ran out of magic after that. The Leona pick was just monstrous.
And how he is this fucking blank getting caught on Jarvan. They almost win. What they could have because they played it back. They completely just dove a Ryze and a Tristana. Nope. You probably should have just pushed your. They had Baron. All they had to do was just push. They had the better composition, but that's the same thing Mad Lions did. Mad Lions were winning game 4, just destroying the bot lane of Damwon. Don't keep track of showing.
And then they overreach.
Yeah.
That 5 seconds, and it was just enough. Man, that was the most disappointing swing of gold I've ever seen in under 10 minutes. Jesus Christ. Because that would have been like the win, I think, right?
Yeah.
That was game 3 or game 4.
That was game 4. Yeah.
Yeah, that was game 4. Yeah. So like that's how close Mad Lions was to beating like the world champions and going to the final against RNG, which I think like I almost think that like that would have been a more interesting series because like that damn one RNG final just ended up just got to game 5. I was like, AFK, we're done here. Xerath picks, get out. Like,
what's up, Warren? How you doing,
Warren
man?
on deck, boy. Get in here. It's heavy carrying this podcast, man.
What do you mean? I'm carrying my invaluable league knowledge I've carried for fucking 10 years of my life. You know what's really crazy? You know, starting that like watching Worlds and watching Samsung fucking carry their asses fucking to the finals and shit, and watching Korea's dominance. And like people said that 1 year where it was going to be different. No, it's not. There's like 1 year where it didn't matter, and then every year it's been the same. So it's been Korea and China dominating. It's literally been the same thing, you know. This last MSI final was LCK versus LPL. But yeah, but Warren, are you gonna sim for TSM? You gonna tell us if they're gonna be first place and shit?
No. Actually, I was gonna ask, what did I miss?
No, we just covered the C9 benchies. Zven, what did you think about that actually?
Well, I think let's look at it from like a PR, right? If you bench Perks, you look like an idiot, right? Because you're benching $6 million, and Blabber is just the MVP. So part of me feels that Zven was a scapegoat because I don't think he performed bad, and I don't think he performed great. He performed average, and he didn't really. There was like 1 or 2 times, but you couldn't say every game that was Zven. So I feel like maybe Jack came to him and was like, take one for the team. That's what kind of my kind of observation. Or he really felt like he did like kind of what FlyQuest did with Mash with Wild Turtle. Like they maybe think he needs to go to academy to brush up his skills, and because when Wild Turtle came back, he did perform well. So maybe that might happen. So that's all I can think of. But I feel like it's more of a scapegoat.
Yeah, like because people need to understand like NA doesn't have that same style that the other regions do where they can pretty much carry through a lot of their lanes, right? You can't carry through bot lane the way people think. You got to do it a different way. But the team has to be bought into that, though. Like, the team, to me, when they were playing at MSI, they weren't really bought into carrying through their bot lane when that was one of the best parts about the team.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm remembering when Kabe was on TSM. And there was very clear moments where like the rest of the team was like playing for like winning their individual like small scope scene, and Kabe's just left out in the rain, just no peel, no concern for where his positioning is and how to best enable him as the AD carry to win those fights.
Could be just Zven having a small mental boom and need some time on interviews. He seemed tilted at Blabber. We all were. We all were. You're not alone, buddy. But yeah,
you gotta wonder what those like in-team interactions are, man. It's like because you know that EU-ness is coming out of like Zven more than anyone else in the team is just looking over Blabber. Like, can you not be dog shit? Like, because that's how the EU talks to each other. I mean, you know, it's like you're playing like dog shit right now, man. It's like, let's get the Australian in here. He's nicer, right, Fudge? Oh, I don't think you know who King is, but
it's just crazy how they used to play together on fucking Mammoth and shit, and now they're on fucking Cloud9 together. That's
synergy, bud.
Or the usual C9 method: showcase your players and sell them at a high price in the offseason. If King plays well, I'm sure Jack will get a good deal. Yeah, that's true. I mean, it works out for them either way. The only
TL Zven.
I mean, that'd be crazy. Hey, hey, C9 Gala.
Bot jungle.
Like, do you think Zven would be an upgrade over tactical?
Side grade.
No. King would be a natural. This would actually enable them to import a jungler.
Yeah, that was because having King would make them having import jungler. They could import Yankos. Import that old man.
Yanko's got Yanko's got too much retirement on his mind to be a top tier talent, except for those that are like delusional. So TSM, we got options here for you if Speaker doesn't work out.
Honestly, I think Yankos has one more good year in him.
He's missing every Nidalee spear.
Or he goes to NA and retires, but like, who's he gonna replace? Like Santorin, they just gave him a deal.
Well, he's only on a
Seekers.
1-year deal, actually.
Oh yeah, true. So maybe Santorin. Do you really? Are you gonna spend? You just have an MVP in Blabber that look kind of ridiculous. Again, it's just a bad. It looks like. Well, we're just gonna get EU because they went to the finals 2 years ago, so we're gonna just grab this guy. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like,
I call that a piglet mindset.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
dude. Oh, Piglet. Oh shit. All right.
Such delusion.
That pretty much covers all that. So now it's time for our LCS 2021 Summer Split Power Rankings. We did this earlier today on my other show that covers most of EU stuff right here. This right here is EG right here, and yeah, this pretty much this time around. I'm gonna be probably agreeing with mostly all these guys anyway. Our power rankings last time were all pretty much the same. So, all right, guys, so you have 9 through 10. So, as you guys know, for the summer splits now for LCS moving forward since last year, it's 8 teams that make the playoffs. Obviously, 6 for the Springs. So, who is gonna be the teams that miss out on playoffs?
Golden Guardians.
Yeah.
Don't tell EO that. They're gonna be first.
It's hard to disagree, but keep going.
And FlyQuest.
I'm sorry, person
I
that I know. I'm sorry.
Well, actually, no. CLG. I'll switch it. CLG. I think
CLG was decent.
No. Actually, Immortals.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say that. All right, so we'll do 9 to 10 right there.
Yeah, I have more confidence in FlyQuest than I do in Immortals.
Okay, so let's do the bottom. Do you guys have CLG 8th?
Yeah, CLG was kind of going.
He does. I
Where do you have them?
I feel like CLG can actually, because I need to look at where's my old stuff. Where is that? LCS rankings. So I just need to start that again, just to have another sheet for that.
Okay.
Preseason. So preseason last C9TL EG 100 Thieves. How did it end? That's what I'm missing.
So Hui Vong. This split, all teams have 10 residents in the ADC position. It's just not worth using up import role for ADC. That's true. I wouldn't waste my import slot on ADC unless I got something really good.
You want to import a whole bot lane typically, honestly, for best practices there, bud. I think the middle of the pack is where it ends up getting really contentious because I think CLG will rise much higher now that they've actually gotten time together. You don't get to have good results when you spend half your season without your jungler.
That's true.
Are
we putting Dig here? So like Dig, EG, or would this be like your 8th to 4th right here?
I would put Dig to drop from Grace on account of how
people figured them out.
They were figured out, but I don't think there's any more tricks up their sleeves, and I don't think any rookie that starts to acquire their own sense of competency and agency is going to be able to put up with Dardoch's attitude. Or they're just going to become very passive, useless pieces of furniture. So yeah, I think Dust falls. I think EG just hangs out like contending with 100 Thieves for 4th, 5th. TSM TLC9 like top side. So yeah, I think CLG gets up there like 4th, 5th area.
Okay.
Like they could contend for that, I think. I think they're just less figured out than everyone else, even though they are just like the most vanilla team I've ever seen.
Okay. For me, FlyQuest, I heard they benched They benched that one guy who was just straight up running it down. Diamond for Dreams.
Diamond just like fell off, man.
Yeah,
I like a social media personality, but just could not, man. And that's where I think Johnson ended up looking like way worse than we know him to be, because he just had a bunch of like much more. He had a veteran top side who does not know how to lead historically. He had an import jungler who I think because ADODO was actually quite good on the language part. You got a rookie LCS mid laner in Palafox, and you have a rookie support. Like Johnson's ability to shine in that situation is very limited, because he was surrounded by much more competent, or at least when he was on Dignitas, he had Afromu. Who was his mid laner? Like he had more firm pieces of like masonry around him. And with this FlyQuest group, it's just much more gelatinous. It's just much weaker. So I think it's where, and you need stability around an AD carry if you want them to be stable and consistent. So yeah, that's about where I run with it.
So for me in FlyQuest, my issue here is like Jose Diota was a all right jungler, but he didn't really make them better. Licorice was the best performing player, but overall he wasn't really that impactful. Their bot lane was not useful. Palafox just sucked half the time. Like I see them bare minimum making like 7th, honestly.
Yeah,
not 7th, 8th. I can see, yeah, CLG performed better than them most, but anyway.
Who's the ADC? They got a rookie ADC for EG, right?
Yeah. They trade out.
Yeah, I would
for him. So
I personally would. I think I would swap Dig with EG because I think they've consistently made playoffs and actually performed it. They just need like that superstar player at this point. I think like the organization seems to be like Jizuke is not like I think Jizuke has ran his time. He's been there for quite some time now. So and I don't. The thing is, I want to put EG higher because Pobelter, like, or who's in the mid, like Tuesday? I'm sorry, who's the mid laner for CLG?
It's
Poe. It's Poe. It's PoE. It's POB.
Yeah, POB is like. I sometimes like this is what gets me upset about some of these mid laners. Like a guy like Bjergsen is humbling himself and saying, "Hey, you know what? I'm done." But Pobelter still believes in his delusional mind that he can still play. Like, come on, dude, just. Show your
he won splits. He's been to worlds. Like we know, okay, dude, you're
fine. Give your tricks of the trade to newer people up, like or be it like, come on, like it's so like disgusting, like what some of these players do, like, and then you hear behind the scenes, oh, he like dude, you're not Showmaker. What are you doing? Like, why are you demanding contracts and stuff like that? Like you're just like if this was another league, your ass would be working at. Okay, I was about to say something really reckless. Well,
McDonald's.
Let's just say you'd be packing some, making some fortune cookies. So like,
okay, got it.
Okay.
So, like, I don't know. Like, no, it's just I find it disrespectful that this man really thinks that he's a top. Like, he still has world's aspirations. Like, there's reasons why Soaz quit. Like Bjergsen call it quits. Like Dyrus, like I could go down the list of people. Like, just stop it. It's just make way. Like, why are you, dude? Can you not find a job in the esports scene? Are you worried about pay? Like that's why I feel like Dardoch. Like he's not gonna. I don't see Dardoch ever making worlds. Like you kind of ran your course. Like there's only certain things that like let's be real, right? We're doing the power rankings now. I could see 100 Thieves making it to Worlds in a few years. I could see EG. I could see TSM, Cloud9, TL. Those are the 5 teams. The rest, no. I'm sorry. I just can't believe it that those orgs. I can't. Like, that's like, look at their track record. Like, CLG
they are not good at building championship rosters that are worth sending off to the international tournaments.
Yeah, like, do you, like, if CLG actually perform well, do you really have confidence that Finn, Pobelter, Brox is gonna perform again? Like, come on, man! Like, that's delusional right there. Like, that's really delusional if you really think. And I'm not saying, of course, you EO or MSK, but like, if the fan base really thinks that like the 4 through 8 right here are like NA pride, you need to go to an asylum. You need to put a collar over your mouth. You need to be less locked away into like a padded room because you are crazy. There's just no way I see that happening. But like
Dignitas, right?
Yeah, like but moving forward, I see TL. I think TL is gonna be number 1 in this split. The rest of the split. I think they feel cheated because let's be honest, like it went to a best of 5 with Armeo. Could you imagine if they had Santorin?
Oof.
Like think about Armeo had to come in.
Well, they already beat that TL roster the previous week, though. That's the thing.
True, but I feel like you got to remember
that there's a lower bracket like power boost of just getting time to lose, figure out how you lost, and then fix that.
Right.
Like TL winning in spring would not surprise me. Like
Yeah.
if we had to run it back, we had another timeline where
Yeah.
Santorin's there and TL wins, I'm not surprised.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah. So I have TL first, and then I actually have TSM fourth. To be honest.
So they're in the 4th to 8th category. Okay.
No, I mean, yeah, I have TSM fourth, and then I have between 100 Thieves and Cloud9, and I have TL first because I think Abadage is way.
TL
way
did get an
better.
extra series on stage where Cloud9 had this the one. That's just the point. Yeah, that's the benefit of being in a lower bracket too. But yeah, continue.
Yeah, I see Abadage is way better than Damonte and Ryoma. So yeah, those are the top 3 teams I see. I think TSM is not making worlds this year, boys. So.
All right, so we have 4th to 8th, which is between TSM, EG, CLG, Dignitas, FlyQuest. 9th, 10th, missing out as Immortals and Golden Guardians. So these would be your top 3 teams right here.
I mean,
well, EO, do you have TSM like 4th or 3rd, or do you think
I'm trying to build it right now out of my head because I have my Excel spreadsheet with I can see all the rosters and stuff because I've given a big boost like right now like from top to bottom it's like from number 1 to 10 it's like C9, TL, TSM, 100 Thieves, CLG, EG, GG, Fly, IMMM, and then Dig. And the thing is that like once you get like past number 5, it starts to get really murky. It gets really super murky because like. You could contend that like GG have like an upgrade for solo in terms of a veteran top lane presence, but it just doesn't really mean anything to me right now. Fly, M, and Dig, just low expectations, just not any high hopes for it, you know. TL being number 1 for the whole split, I think that could be a thing. I'm debating if they're trying to imitate what G2 learned and understood, which I believe what C9 was doing. Is where they're trying to pace themselves out properly so they are peaking in time to win the split and go to Worlds and perform well. So TL being number 1 the whole split, I mean possible. I don't think it should be the most important goal. But
they want to make Worlds.
Oh, I know they want to make Worlds, but I don't think the strategy would be a contentious thing, but at least between me and Warren, you know. It's like you start out number 1, sure, but you should, like I don't think until you get halfway through the split that you should really be try-harding. Like you should be winning, but you should not be try-harding until you get halfway through summer.
Like so, we're 18 to make playoffs, so try-harding to get first isn't really gonna make or break it. Anyway.
Yeah. And just based off like synergistic elements, like I'm even like. Almost fitting CLG over 100 Thieves, which puts CLG like number 4, which just sounds so weird when EG is below them.
Where's the window?
Huh?
Where's the window?
So
I hear you out.
This is the first time I'm actually thinking about it. Like I have not done power rankings yet for the split, so like I'm also sitting there with this Jenga. I'm like in that you know those old handheld things where you're just rotating the squares around to make the final image. That's where I'm at right now, where I'm just like moving things around. Like, wait, does this even feel right? Like, should TSM even be like top 3? You know? Because like GG, Fly, M, and Dig, that's just hanging out like bottom. That's just bottom.
That's just like your bottom of your soup.
Yeah. I end up with the same LS thing. It's like there's nothing distinguishable about these players or these teams, so they're all in this like bottom tier of my thing. So yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at. That's kind of where, as far as I've been able to think about that, you know. So like that's where CLG being number 4. I'm not writing that in stone. I'm control Xing and control Ving my shit everywhere on this Excel spreadsheet, homie. Like
oh shit. Like my thing with Cloud9 potentially not getting first is because if they're trying out what is considered a new ADC, then there's probably some games they lose just because of that, and that in the standings wouldn't. Like if TL does really well, then they would get first almost by default. But 100 Thieves, my thing with 100 Thieves is like how well is Abadage and Reaper going to impact the team? You know, that's my thing with that.
I could tell you that Reaper surprisingly played the top side a lot. So he's gonna. I guarantee you're gonna see more someday. Because remember, Reaper was a top laner when he was in a professional play. So that makes it when you play a position and when draft is important. Because top laners are probably one of the most important roles over the last 3 years. I would say mid laners. Yeah, they're still the important glue, but a good top laner is like, okay, we can play carry, you can play weak side, you can play tank. It's like
Mhm.
knowing how to team fight, knowing when to split push properly. Uh, like these things make your draft, and then also your champion pool is important. Like there's some players that can't play a Jace, that can't play a Aurelia, that can't play like these mechanical champs. That if you have it in your wheelhouse, it makes a big difference. Like yeah, Fudge is a rookie, but playing Aurelia like a Gnar Aurelia just destroys Gnar, right? And he showed
Mhm.
it in the MSI. Stuff like that matters. So
Mhm.
that's why they spent so much money for Alfari. He's only like 21. He's still got a good 3-4 years left in him, and he's still learning. He's hungry. So like when it comes to top learners, and I have and Reaper has something to prove too, because he's gonna be like, you know what, Jack, you got rid of me. Guess what happened now? I'm gonna beat you. He's got something. He wants something to prove. When you got that fire, you're gonna just like how Double Lift when he got kicked off of TSM, he went to TL and he won championships. Don't be surprised if that there's a rivalry now between C9 and 100 Thieves, because it kind of started in Lock-in, right? They had the best of 5, I think, right? I believe.
Mhm. I think this really comes down to like what is the actual meta? Does 100 Thieves pick like their own interpretation of the meta and really stick to it? Because you have Faker Dage, and he was hanging out on the come up between like Humanoid, the Nemesis generation, coming out and just being able to show themselves as like top EU mid talent. What is actually really going to come of this? Like, I don't know that Papa Smithy with Reaper are going to be able to like build out the right culture and the right, competitive environment that's going to propel this. I do hope and wish that like the Abadage closer synergy is going to be way better than closer synergy has been with any other 100 Thieves mid laner, because this closer so far has been nothing like the Golden Gardens closer that we knew and loved. Like he was just curb stopping kids when he was on GG. So that's really the sign of health for me, is when the jungler is playing like they freaking should, like playing like we know they can. Like the biggest disappointment for closer with Spring was that it's a carry jungler meta, and he's not carrying like he was when it wasn't even a carry jungler meta. Like I'm sorry, that's such a mismatch. That's such a flip.
All right, let me get to some comments here. Hue Vong, I just can't see a world where TL gets first when Tactical's playing like dog shit. Well, they did get second.
It happens, but they still made finals. He might be dog shit, but that guy still made finals. Like
got second place.
Got
second place. Actually.
My man. Let me tell you about a certain team called FPX, and you want to know a dog? You want to know a dog?
Yeah, LWX. Holy shit! If he had half a brain, they beat RNG.
RNG, yeah, because he literally griefed it. Like Crisp actually Crisp actually improved, and he actually stopped being crap. But LWX's brain just turned off. Hui Vong says he wasn't even top 4 in his role on a contending champions team. Well, there's FBI, Zven, Neo, and Tactical. I think it was top 4.
Man, Neo don't belong there, bro. Like that's just a fluke. Like I don't see this dude doing that again. Like, come on, stop this.
What are you saying?
These cocaine predictions, man. It's like, like please, like stop, like come on.
And he linked with a world-class support. Danny says Tactical needs to improve for TL to be first.
Oh God!
They got second. They got.
Where's my window? Where's my nukes? Where's my window? My knife? My gun? This is just. I am seeing the most delusional stuff right now. Holy moly! Guy has one bad split, and now he needs to improve. Heaven forbid, Double Lift had a bad split, but no one crucified that motherfucker. Like holy shit!
Tactical looks like a one-season wonder. You guys are tripping.
You guys are tripping. Holy shit! You guys forget about his Worlds performance. How he dominated probably the group of death. Like,
he
okay,
wasn't
guys,
playing that bad in the split. He just got caught out. Like
that happens. Like, look at Double Lift last season. Before he got caught out a ton of times. People were like, old man Double Lift. Do you remember Flash on your button? Like, remember how many people calling like you forgot the Flash? And it's like, come on, guys. Like, it's one split. You don't think the coaching staff, people have come up to him. He has Core JJ, a world-class, world champion player who's consistently 1500 LP challenger, at his side. You don't think he's gonna be like, you know what, kid, you need to cut the dog shit stuff, and I want to win. Like, you don't think he's gonna do that? Like, come on, man.
And
Be for
remember,
real.
when he's like getting caught out like that, walking into places, they're probably just there's some sort of miscommunication there. That's not like fuck, he's just playing like dog shit half the time. You know, like I don't know where that comes from with you guys. It's your opinions, not mine, obviously.
Right. I mean, they still ended top second. Like, how's he bad? Like it was. You tell me Jensen carried most of those games? Come on, man. Like, come on. Like really, really. Come on, chat. Come on, chat. I know you got it in you. Like, come on, use your thinking, cats. Back in school.
Tactical's nothing like Stixay.
Oh, come on. Oh, you're capping. Oh my God. Oh,
I think it's turned into the triggering Warren hour, and I'm here.
Holy shit! I think Oh my God, Stixay. He hasn't been relevant for 4 years.
Warren Solo left his body.
He used to be giving water to people on the stage, not actually playing.
Okay, I got a phrase. I think y'all. I want to hear y'all's react to. Stixay's the Pope Elter of ADCs.
Basically,
no,
always there and never important.
Well, Stixay is the NA piglet.
See, the thing with Pobelter is what you guys did bring up is Pobelter makes worse teams better, but better teams worse. Stixay makes no team better. He just makes teams worse consistently.
Like, let's be honest. After Pobelter played in Immortals and TL, he's just gone downhill. It just hasn't been the same. Like, come on, dude. Like, he's literally, his cane is calling him, and he doesn't want to grab it. And his walker and his oxygen tank, like, stop. Like,
you need to go get into that. I will dominate home over there, man, in Austin.
Like, holy.
TL getting finals says more about NA than TL.
What? What?
That's Trackhawk. He's in the Discord. He's a cool dude. He's a cool dude. He's on last stream.
Like, I know that track. Go ahead, you.
That's Trackhawk. I don't know, man. Like TL, they weren't like a truly terrible team though. If you just discount Tactical and Jensen, they weren't really that bad.
Like think about it this way, right? Even after Double If left, like people still doubted Tactical. They still make finals outside of their best of 5 that kind of flounder last year. They've been consistently either getting the semifinal or a final. Like, how is that still bad when you lose a guy that was regarded as one of NA's best like ADCs all time? Like, come on now, are we? Who's got the sniper in your house? Like seriously,
who's making you lie like this, man? Come on.
Like, the thing with TL is that, like, I don't think Santorin played amazing for them, but if you just Jensen didn't play well until playoffs, right? And then Tactical, outside of his random imp moments, they weren't that bad of a team though. Like, they beat C9 twice in the break. They almost won the best of 5 against them. You know,
the question I would have actually, has Tactical solved his fatigue issue? Because that is what really was messing him up, like halfway through the spring split, is that they'd gone the full gambit all the way to finals and won the lock-in tournament, and then you're right in. You were right into the regular season. You were going at it, going for the top spot ASAP. And it just sounded like at one point in like in a summation of an interview he had that he was.
Yes.
Did you hear all that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, cool. So my curiosity is I still have a similar question to what LS had, is that has Tactical actually been around playing the game on a semi-professional level so long that he's actually weathered beyond being able to grow, develop, or maintain a high level of play? Has he just, this is the first time he's actually been on a winning situation, so much so that he's gotten fatigued out due to how long those seasons are when you're winning? So does he come back like refreshed, rested, with that? Like, you ever do something like really, really hard in life, like pick anything, and it sucks. Like it sucks so much. And then the second time you do it, it's like 50, 100%, 50, 150% easier to do. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like once you have that, like once you've done all the conscious learning for that task, the next time you do it, there are parts of that task that are now automated in your brain. And so doing the task is like 50% easier. So I'm curious to see if he, now that he's actually experienced like a successful season and a half, does he come in, or a split and a half, does he come into this next split with a greater sense of like wisdom and sort of intrinsic understanding of this is what is about to happen, and I still want to win. Like if he still wants to win after going through a successful season or successful tournament and split,
Yes.
like is his drive, hunger, work ethic, mental now all like getting closer and closer together, like to where like he can actually not disappoint and get to these, just have these dog water, like, you know, halves of splits.
Let me get to some people in chat. Core JJ declined a little, and I expect that to keep happening. I don't. He played okay. I think he played just fine. People just forget that because he's Core JJ. Okay. Some argue that TL is better than C9. They're pretty much neck and neck, I would say. They beat TL when they had a sub jungler. Yes, they did. Yeah. But C9 beat that exact same Santorin roster the previous week. People need to remember that. Like, they actually did beat that team. It was, even though it was in the lower bracket, right? They did prove that they could beat that team. And that was more convincing than the finals one, actually.
The next take that K4 has is there's argumentation about it because there's the jungler that you play with all the time isn't there. But yes, if you're listening to some interviews, I think it was Fudge, maybe on an LS like call or something like that. But the entire game plan for C9 was actually playing around Alfari and enabling Fudge to neutralize Alfari, and it worked. Like, you could grant whatever you want about like the sub jungler and that definitely being a significant swing on TL's ability to be at full strength to contend for the title. But you could have best Alfari and C9 at the time in the tournament. Their game plan was to neutralize, and they neutralized Alfari.
If Alfari is on his game, C9 probably loses. Team Liquid had no one else to compete against outside of 100 Thieves and C9. Who's going to knock them out of playoffs? TSM. There is a lot of what ifs about the final. Yeah. That's true. Truth is, if C9 draft better, they probably win game 1. Those are what ifs. Those are true. And the whole series changes. That's true. I mean, we'll never know those things because that's, you know, hindsight conjecture, just predicting for what if scenarios. I mean, TSM did knock out TL last summer. Anything is possible, and that TSM went 0-6 at Worlds KEKW. All of this talk of tactical, I'm more worried about Core JJ and Jensen. Yeah, Jensen did not look good until the playoffs for last split. Alfari has some serious talent, but that guy's mental is just so shit. I just don't understand how he can give up 5 first bloods in a final series.
That's a disingenuous critique.
That's so disingenuous. It was pathing and doing different things.
It was very smart.
Warren, you want to dive into this and open up Tran's asshole on the Figment take?
Tran, like you need to check the VODs, and this is not being disrespectful. Check the VODs. I'm pretty sure they Blabber made split decision changes and pathing changes to execute their plan, right? So to say that, I mean, like, if that's the case, then the series should have been easily was it because it's a best of
it was 3-2.
Yeah, so it should have been 3-0 if that's the case. If we're going on that logic, like, that guy was playing to win. Like, even though the last game was even sort of
him
close.
Getting first blood didn't matter. He was super impactful in every single game, though. Him getting first blood almost meant nothing at a certain point.
Yeah, he was super impactful.
All right, so
and it's just to bring it back, what I said before, and Warren's emphasizing here, C9's game plan was to stuff Alfari.
You had to.
They did. He got first bloods, and all that comes down to is like wave manipulation and pathing out of the top lane or the jungler, respectively. Either Alfari does not go up to get CS and XP and dies to first blood, or he stays super far back, lets himself get zoned off, it loses gold, loses XP, and then it gets dove when the slow push, like, if the freeze stays, you're fucked forever. And his jungler now has to go up. Now jungle resources being taken away from Perks and from the bot lane, so Vulcan and Zven get to like just do whatever they want.
Objective control.
Yeah, Blabber gets to do whatever he wants because now the jungler's having to come up topside. Like, here's the domino effect of how the game is played. Please get it together. Nightwing,
all right,
go.
So the LCS 2021 Summer Split kicks off this Friday. Actually, we have some interesting matchups, and the bangers start right here. First game is going to be a banger. Team Liquid versus TSM on Friday, and the rest is EG Dig and the rest of these. We have 2 interesting ones. Cloud9 versus TL on Sunday, and then you also have C9 versus 100 Thieves Saturday, and you have TL versus TSM. So we have three interesting best of ones here, but the match of the week obviously is going to be Team Liquid versus TSM or C9 versus Team Liquid. Two matches for the week. That's good. I like that. So, obviously we always do this generally. We predict the games because I'm not going to see these guys until literally next week. So we got our predictions out of the way. Who do you guys think wins the first game right here?
Oh, I need to start building this prediction sheet.
I mean, this is, I'm going to root for TSM even if they have zero chance. So,
all right. So Warren says TSM. I'm going to say Team Liquid.
We're in summer now, so it was spring 2021. Okay, I'm copy pasting stuff. I would go TLEG C9 100 CLG.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go TSM EG.
I love you,
Golden
Warren.
Guardians.
Golden Guardians. Holy
yeah,
shit.
I think the thing is, here's why, and this has happened to plenty of teams that come from MSI. They have a hard time because they've played all those games. They're a little burnt out. I wouldn't be surprised if the game's close. That's why I'm saying GG. If it's close, it's GG. That's why I'm saying that. It's only because they're coming back from MSI and it's a lot to absorb, and then going back into scrims. They don't really get that much of time off, right? 100 Thieves, easy. CLG was on the upward trajectory. As much as I hate Pole Belter, I have them beating FlyQuest.
Okay, so for me, Team Liquid, Dignitas, C9, 100 Thieves, and CLG. Saturday, the only good game out of this is like C9 versus the 100 Thieves. So I would go with it. TSM, Dignitas, Cloud9, Team Liquid. Out of this is also that's the worst game of the day. Mortals, fuck it, right? What do you think about day 2, Warren?
Oh, TSM all the way, baby.
Yeah. No
FlyQuest because I hate Dignitas because these front runners are get off that monkey back. That's so stupid. And then I got C9, TL, and then IMT.
Okay, because I gotta get this done before because there's a person waiting on me in like about 1 minute. So, EO, did you go actually for Saturday?
Saturday, TSM, Dig actually. I'll give it 100. And then TL, GG. GG's like my just hopeful pick on that one.
There you go, that oceanic hope. All right, the last day for Sunday, I'll go 100 Thieves, EG, Team Liquid, TSM, and CLG. Well, what about you, Warren?
I hate Dig, so 100.
Nickname Mike killed you. Nickname Mike destroyed you, man. Oh my god.
EG. That's a banger of a game. I'm gonna go with TL.
I think TL wins it the first time around, yeah.
And TSM, they do this thing where they go 2-0. They don't go 3-0. So I'm gonna have GG winning.
No, please. Do you have is an arrow in your house right now, holding a gun to your head?
And then I have. All right, you know what? TSM and then CLG.
Okay, EO, what do you have for the last day of predictions for Sunday?
Sunday. Make sure I'm actually on the right page. 6-6.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think I'm on group stage. Oh, you're on LOL fandom. I'm on Liquipedia. Okay, that's why things look different. Okay. Let's go. 100 EG. C9, TSM, CLG.
Okay, and that is our predictions.
So I need to somehow write all these down and remember them.
Yeah, as you guys know, this has been a great show. We had a great time. Warren lost his brain.
It's always a good time when Warren loses his brain.
His brain, man. Like, what happens, Warren? What happened to you when your brain just collapsed when looking at the chat today? Like, I do want to say this. Thank you to everyone who has been in the chat. Recently, we've been getting a lot more new people coming in. A lot more new people have been talking. That's good. We can all disagree. It's fine. But at least you're putting in your, comments, at least you're willing to have your opinions challenged. I can respect you for that. And, as long as you always say shit to Warren to trigger him, that's
don't chat. I'm not. I've had discussions with Ravioli, EO, MSK. We are not like I'm not gonna be like, oh, I hate this dude. This is just me being passionate about my teams. If your opinion is your opinion, and I'm not like, I like this open dialogue between chat, and the feedback is great, and we want more people to interact, because the more people interact, the more people come to the stream, the popular this gets. So please, your input is great.
It gets fun. It gets super fun when we have fun chats, especially when
we've been having some fun chats recently, have we? There's been a lot of new
Danny coming in here with his bad takes. Appreciate you providing the content.
Ew, you said you'd be nice moving forward.
No, I never said that out loud. I'm confused with someone who gives a shit.
God. All right, last two questions. We're heading out of here. Trackhawk says Alfari was the only real threat. Real in-lane threat that series, and C9 spent all series dropping anvils on his head to prevent that. The fact that the guy didn't get tilted off the face of this world is insane.
This is why Trackhawk's a smart man. Thank you.
CLG is a dark horse. K4 Polo and Dylan. Last one. Fudge said to not be surprised if they had a bad first week or two. Yeah, it's expected though. They just went and played a ton of games at MSI, and they played a ton of games like 2 weeks before that. So, if they lose a few games, it's fine. The records literally carry over. They wouldn't be starting like 0-3, so that's a good thing too. But yeah, see you guys later. Like, comment, subscribe, most of all, enjoy. I'm the Nightwing and Way of Life Esports is signing out, guys. As you guys already know, the shows are Tuesdays at 6 p.m., 5:30, 6 p.m. PST. I might be working on just doing a separate EU show. I think a lot of people really enjoyed that. So maybe diversifying them is better too, but generally there might be an EU show in the morning and an NA one later in the day. But yeah, see you guys later. Goodbye. And I'll see you next week as Cloud9 goes 3-0 and TSM starts 0-3.
You're a fool. Have a good day, chat.